So the day after the Congress, and then the president signs the new budget deal into law, which again extends the debt ceiling. There's not really a limit on the debt ceiling, from what I understand, until 2017. Government adds record $339 billion to debt on the first day after the budget deal is passed. The federal government has piled up debt since the latest budget deal was signed into law, tacking $462 billion onto the national credit card since November 1st, as the Treasury Department replenished its funds and began another round of borrowing to take it all the way into 2017. A staggering $339 billion in total debt was added on just the first day after President Obama signed the budget agreement, the single largest ever in the history of the U.S. Quick, look surprised. The debt has continued to rise, albeit more slowly, in the days since, putting the president on track to come close to the $20 trillion mark by the time he leaves office in January 2017. When I was talking about the debt earlier, they talk about 19 point something trillion, and again, from what I understand, it's an open-ended checkbook. It's just the forecasting of how we're spending now. If that continues to 2017, then we should be at 19 point something trillion. And then there's that thing happening in the Middle East. It's going to cost a lot of money to deal with that. It's called war. You might have heard of it, and if you haven't, it might be a super war known as World War III. Coming to a planet near you, potentially, looks like. Meanwhile, the early deficit numbers for fiscal year 2016, which began October 1st, are already looking more grim. The government ran a deficit of $136 billion last month, which is up 12% compared with the previous October, as spending ballooned and taxes remained nearly flat. It was the worst October since 2010, when the government was still spending on the stimulus and was on pace for a deficit of more than $1 trillion that year, if that's not a shocker. The Treasury Department did not respond to a request for comment on that debt spike, but analysts said it wasn't unexpected. Quote, "It's going to keep rising at that pace. It's like putting a cap on a geyser. It was being held at an artificially low price," said Robert Bixby, director of Concord Correlation, which pushes for policymakers to control debt and deficits. Quote, "It'll increase at a more traditional level from this point on." Mr. Bixby, listen. See what I said a second ago about this war thing going on? I got a sneaky suspicion, with or without the war thing, just a little teeny sneaky suspicion that, quote unquote, it'll increase at a more traditional level from this point on. No, I'm pretty certain it's going to increase at a non-traditional level, which is going to set new records of how far we can blow past these trillions of dollars. I think you could even take that one to the bank. Despite the massive spread of red ink, the government has been getting away with small debt service payments because of historically low interest rates over the past several years. But as rates rise, so will those payments, from about $220 billion per year to about $755 billion per year in a decade from now. Again, don't quite know if we're going a decade out before we spend that kind of money paying, interest payments. I got a sneaky suspicion we'll be making some big payments in the near future. All it takes is for the interest rates to rise. Nothing else has to change. We don't have to borrow any extra money. Nothing has to change. Just let those interest rates rise some more, and we will be paying back a lot more money on this money that we borrow. And we're going to continue. Of course, we're going to continue and borrow to borrow, which is another absurd thing. Why are we borrowing something we have the rights and control to print? We could print money with no interest attached, no bonds created for that collection of interest, and the government can fund itself by just printing the money it needs to go to do its things. And if we ever have a little, the business cycle, the boom and bust cycle, it's a bust cycle. People are losing their jobs. People are getting foreclosed on. Stop. Got a plan. Since the government's printing all this money, like if we went to this new system, government's printing all its money anyways. There's no such thing as owing anything. There's no one's buying our bonds in debt. The government just prints the money it needs to run itself. It funds itself. By the way, citizens of the country, you no longer have to have property tax. You get to own your property for real this time, because you don't need to pay taxes because the government pays itself. License plate fee, fishing fee, this tax, all that goes away, gone. Get rid of it. No longer needed. How much extra money would you have? So back to the people who, boom and bust cycle, start losing their jobs or whatever. If let me shut this down. Looks like an ad's about to pop on and make some noise. If they lose their jobs, and we're in a bad period of time, another economic depression or recession or whatever, all the government has to do is open the doors for additional employees in all of the offices throughout state, local, and federal government. Normally the driver's license office in your area, that one center, there's about 4 in the area, but the one by you, there's 40 employees there now. They do more than just driver's license, but there's 40 employees there now. We could make it 60. We'll take in 50% more than what we had. 40 turns to 60. Doesn't cost the government anymore because they're printing money for free. There's no interest attached, right? So pulling these people in, you've solved some problems. You've solved some issues. These people don't sit on their fat asses collecting money off the backs of you and I who pay our taxes. We don't have an income tax anymore at this point, right? We don't have any property tax. You have no taxes. All the money you earn is yours. So the people who need a job because they're going to lose their house or whatever, I lost my job, government opens up the doors, and there's an excess of employment through the government. When times start to get better in the economy, the government starts letting some of those people go. Matter of fact, they may keep some of the newer people and get rid of some of the old dead weight who they've been wanting to get rid of for a long time. And then they can go find another job in the new booming cycle. There wouldn't have to be foreclosures anymore. Everybody would have a job. The only time you'd have any issues or foreclosures or anything would be the schmuck who doesn't want to go and where I'm not working for the government. Okay, but you don't have a job. You don't have a choice. You really need to go. There's a multitude of places you could go work for them. No, I'm not doing it. Okay, then you suck. You're going to deal with it. That's how easy that, am I the smartest? No college degree. Am I the smartest guy in the room all of a sudden? It's that easy. Abraham Lincoln had it in place. That's how he won the war. They were running out of gold and silver coin payments to the troops, both the North and the South. And the North decided we'll print our own money. It's called the greenback. Excuse me. And it worked. It worked so well, they were going to keep it after the war. Crazy dude blew his head off. Another crazy guy, huh? Blew his head off and they changed it back. New president. We're going to change it back, or not even implement it. We're going back to the old central bank system where debt is created. And you think about these numbers, like I just shared with you, this, from about $202 billion a year to $755 billion a year, just interest payments. Can we just take the lower one for a second? The $220 billion per year. And say Jason Ford's and President Abraham Lincoln's system is now going to be in place. Now we have all this additional money all of a sudden. What do you think they could do with that $220 billion? Imagine, and that's yearly, every year. $220 billion this year, $220 billion next year, etc. That's a lot of money, isn't it? Can you imagine what can be done with that money in a good way? The only problem with this system I've just described is that now you have all these warmonger neocons, rotten bastards who run our country with literally an open checkbook to do whatever the hell they want. And if you think Obama hiring his friend to do the website work that cost nearly $1 billion or whatever it ultimately was, $1 billion, hundreds of millions at least, and I thought it rose even higher to $1 billion or somewhere around there. But for the sake of this argument, we'll just say it was several $100 million for a freaking healthcare website, which is nonsense. Could you imagine how much that website would have cost us on a system like I've described, where money's no object? They just print what they need. It could have been $10 billion for that website. All this, the gas station I told you about, that cost us taxpayers $43 million in the Middle East, we paid for, that should have cost $500,000. It's already absurd, right? $43 million, that's insane. Why not $500 million? Money is no object. So you can see the system would work fantastically, as a matter of fact. But then you got that other problem with them giving their buddies, the same way they do now, the money, and then they themselves get the money back through campaign contributions. And it's a one hand washes the other kind of thing. And the crazy reckless spending they do now would be multiplied by many, many times over if this system was in place. However, even if that's the case, and there's absurd spending going on and absurd contracts and campaign contributions going on, at least the rest of us, the rest of the system is still functioning. You don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to worry about getting kicked out of places and your house and foreclosed on. You go get a government job. That's just one government agency, the driver's license plate. That's all I'm talking about. How about the other ones? The county workers, state. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs with thousands and thousands and thousands of people that can then just take, up. Maybe, I said, let's hire 50% more. Let's hire 20% more, 15% more. If you did that in all these organizations, everybody would have a job. But they couldn't do that today because they have to actually pay for that with money that they borrowed that has interest attached to it. And the interest has not been, nor will it ever be printed. They only print the principal. Oh, you need $10 billion, Congress, is blow right now? We need $10 billion in bonds. Got that? Okay, good deal. We got our bonds. We'll issue them out on the market and see who buys them, which actually is nobody. So, Federal Reserve, you buy them today. Well, hold on. Aren't they the ones printing it? Yeah. And they're going to buy it? Yeah. How? With what? Oh, we just Control-Alt-P, print. Control-Alt-P. Not Control-Alt-Delete. Control-Alt-P. For print some money. And again, how do they just have it? Oh, it just goes on their balance sheet. And just out of curiosity, I wonder if I can find this real fast. Federal Reserve balance sheet. I got a quarterly. August 2015. Okay. Let's see what we got, Chill. There's quite a bit in here. Don't know if I'm going to make you sit on hold here for as long as it may take me to find what I'm looking for. Yeah, it's listed, but it's a way too many pages, and I cannot find it. Serve balances. I don't know. Maybe here's some charts. Hold on a second. Let's see what this is. Oh, that's 2011. And their balance sheet was... What is this? Foreign central bank holdings. And then local holdings is $2.5 trillion. But, oh no, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm not even sure what the hell I'm reading at here. Treasuries. Something's $4 trillion. Is it all of it? Is it the foreign central? Like, what is this? I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at. All I know is it's trillions. trillions of dollars on their balance sheet. Wouldn't you like to just say, oh, how much do I owe on my house? Oh, I own $150,000 left on that. Oh, I'll just pay it off today. What, would you win the lottery or something? No, I'll just put it on my balance sheet. Just add the, so I got a spreadsheet on my desktop. I'll just put an entry in there that says I gave myself $150,000, and I'll forward that spreadsheet to the bank to show them that I've put this on there, and they're paid off. That would be absurd, but that's what they do. That's what they're doing every day. Federal Reserve. Oh, we don't have the money. No one's showing up to buy the Treasury bonds anymore. China used to be first in line. Now they're not. Japan used to be second in line. Now they're not. Now it's Federal Reserve first in line, and has been. Oh, for a while. Oh. So their balance sheet will just continue to balloon. Now the question I have, and I know Ron Paul asked at one point and said, look, if we're going to have the Fed buy the bonds, we should not be paying any interest whatsoever on the amount of money that the Fed is sitting on. You know, the bonds that they're sitting on. We shouldn't be paying the Fed interest, right? Let's make sure that we're not doing that. And the credit or elsewhere who has our bonds, that's fine. I don't know whatever came of that. I can't tell you if that's actually the way it is right now or not, or if it's just a fee we're paying, and you know, a fee for all of the bonds that are out there. And if the Federal Reserve's got $3 or $4 trillion, then we're paying them $3 or $4 trillion of interest. Not that amount, but on the $3 or $4 trillion. Not really sure, but either way, this whole system is insane. This is the best we can do, right? Everything else, I said this before. Technology, literally a phone that's like a mini computer, email, instant messaging, text, immediate, right? Just a transfer of information across the world, like that. I've got green screen technology. Wow. I can upload the video. So I could do a live video right now if I wanted to, and you'd see me talking live, rather than wait for me tomorrow morning to upload this video. Wow. Oh, what kind of money system you guys using over there? A couple hundred, well, more than that, hundreds of years old. You may have heard of it in ancient history books. It's called fractional reserve lending. Oh, you're lying. You're not real. Seriously, what are you guys using? No, it's called fractional. Yeah, we're really using it. Fractional reserve lending. And you have a central bank that's owned by private parties, and they pass a law so that no one can ever know who actually owns the central bank. You can't get that information. No Freedom of Information Act request will ever get that information. It's in law that you won't be able to know who owns it. And we print money that we borrow from this entity at interest, but we never print the interest. So we're in perpetual debt that can never be paid down. It can only go up. Because we're not printing the interest, we're only printing the principal. So if I print $1 and $1 in even one, $1 is owed 1%. I've only printed the dollar. How can I pay you back $101 if I only have $100 to begin with? That's what it amounts to. You can't pay back $101 if only 100 has been printed. So what has to happen? We'll print you another $100 at interest. So now I owe you $202 technically, but I really right now only owe the 101. So I can use a piece of that extra $100 you gave me to pay the 101. But now instead of getting that $100 from you, I'm actually getting $98 from you, because I had to use the 2 additional dollars to pay back, or actually $1 out of that to pay back the other one, which is 101. So I have $99 now, but I owe, essentially what's remaining, which is another $101. So 99 now. I used to have 100 and only owed 101. Now I have 99 and owe 101. And if I print another $100, the same thing keeps happening. It keeps compounding. Now you can see why paper money fails, because they do the same things with the same rules when dealing with paper money. Paper money has an average lifetime of 39 or 40 years. On average. Some have died quicker, some have lasted a little bit longer. Not a lot longer, by the way, just a little bit longer. And when you look at when we got off the gold standard and became a true fiat currency, the year was 1971. 81, 91, 2001, 2011. That's 40. 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, and almost 16. Add 5 years, we're at 45 years. It is time for that dollar, that fiat currency, to go bye-bye. Historically, this happens every single time the paper money system crashes. Inflation massively, hyperinflation. That's how those other ones have went. I don't see how we're going to be able to skate that. But even if we do, the bottom line is the paper fiat unbacked currency has to go away and is on its way out, by the way. You just don't know it yet unless you've been paying attention. That's why China and Russia and India are taking in gold and silver by the busload. Because they know what comes after U.S. dollar hegemony is going to be backed by gold and silver. Because they're going to be affected by what happens too. All paper monies across, currencies across the world are going to be affected. Many of which will be directly affected just by the U.S. dollar alone. Because so many people use it in other countries. And nobody in the right mind is going to say, as a citizen of any country on this planet, whoa, that was great, let's do that again. We'll just wipe everything out and start over with new fiat currency backed by nothing so that this can happen in a mere 40-something years later. No. And the elite know this, which is why they know what they offer you next will be the solution. You'll be in pain. Give us some solution. It can't be the same solution you already gave us. It won't be. It's going to be backed by gold and silver, whatever it may be. And if they're trying to push the SDR, which is special drawing rights currency from the IMF, it's no wonder the IMF is the third, allegedly, as far as official numbers are concerned, the third largest gold holder in the world. A privately owned entity, not even a country, the IMF, is the third largest gold holder. I am also one of these firm believers that the numbers you thought you got from China and the World Gold Council's reports on how much China actually has isn't even close to what they really have. So, America, who's number one, and Germany, who's number two, and IMF, who's number three, somebody's getting pushed down the list. Maybe all of us are getting pushed down that list while China jumps up there. You may find that Russia and India, oh, well, you didn't count ours properly either. Here's how much we have. Oh. And the next thing, it's 1, 2, 3, foreign countries, top 3. Then America, number 4. Germany, number 5. IMF, number 6, etc. You may see something like that. So, can you believe that they blew through that much money the day, boom, budget passed? Yep, $339 billion. Bang! Unbelievable. Truly American. Truly American.